Now, you've been to the real Cuba, and when you got there, you were not greeted, with a lay or something like that. You were actually detained. Talk a little bit about that because I want people to understand that you didn't go over there on a cruise ship. Okay, we are here once again with D. Scott Smith, commercial real estate uh, expert extraordinaire, world traveler, quite literally. I would even say adventurer. I mean,
Yes, sir.
you've been to some interesting places and done some interesting things, and I wanted to have a brief conversation with you about Cuba because that's in the news and maybe people will wonder, well, this is a financial literacy channel. Why are we talking about Cuba? Well, we're talking about them because of the contrast of what the Cuban people want and what we here in America have, and increasingly are unaware of how good we have it. So we're going to examine a little bit of the situation with Scott here, who has been to Cuba, who has contacts there, who knows what's going on that you're not going to hear on MSNBC or even Fox or any of that corporate news outlets. So we're going to talk about that and get into how what's going on is coming out of their desire for more economic freedom in large part, freedom in general. So, Scott, I'm going to let you expound on it. I mean, what's going on down there? What are your contacts talking to you about?
Well, we have not had any good, solid communication in about, I think this is about the fourth day now. The government has shut off the internet coming out of Cuba. So if you're not aware, the government in Cuba owns the internet. And so they try to keep a very controlled system and service as to the information that comes in and off the island. And that's just in normal times. When you want to use the internet in Cuba, you have to buy from the government an internet card. Well, it's a company that looks like a retail company, but it's actually owned by the government. Right? State households typically don't have internet in their house, and so what they have what they call internet parks, and it is literally an outside park where the internet there's a router, and so when you're driving down the road in Cuba, you would see huge crowds of people, and that would be because they were all standing around their phones on the internet, and as well as the mail system has been shut off since like early part of this year due to COVID. So there's a mail service that runs from Miami to Cuba every day and back, U.S. mail service, and Cuba shut down that access in the beginning of this year due for COVID reasons. So essentially, unless if there is independent, which there are some independent underground routers, you're not going to get solid information about what's really going on the streets in Cuba right now. So the government has literally, there is no First Amendment. It doesn't exist. Rights of speech don't exist in Cuba. Freedom of information doesn't exist in Cuba. And so the government has essentially locked down their country from information.
Now, you've been to the real Cuba, and when you got there, you were not greeted, with a lay or something like that. You were actually detained. Talk a little bit about that because I want people to understand that you didn't go over there on a cruise ship, get off the ship, and then have a dinner and get back on. You were in the real Cuba.
Yeah, so we went over, I guess, what, 219, January of 19. I was over in Cuba as a missionary with a group of about 10 others. And we were bringing supplies into Cuba in our suitcases. And we were bringing painting supplies, building supplies, nails, paintbrushes, that kind of stuff, which are extremely hard to get in Cuba. that's why all the buildings and everything are run down, because there's no supplies. And when we got there, we got held at the airport before we were allowed to enter or leave the airport. So it's just like anytime you travel internationally, there's the area that you can go into, customs area, and then once you pass that line, then you're officially in Cuba and you're allowed to leave the airport. We were not allowed to leave the airport. We were held there for 5, almost 6 hours. They took pictures of our passports. They took pictures of us. They confiscated book bags that we were bringing the kids, pencils, coloring books that we were bringing the kids, water filters, general necessities that one would need just for, sanitary purposes.
Right. And
they were confiscated because their reasoning, which had nothing to do with human rights, their reasoning was they didn't want the people receiving our gifts and donations to have an undue advantage over everyone else, because they could then sell them, and then that would give them an economic advantage over others.
Right. And so that's a very important point. So, one way I sum up socialism and communism is just equal misery. So that kind of illustrates.
Well, except for the government officials, they're
sure,
not very miserable. Yeah.
Right. No, the upper echelon, the Politburo guys are always going to live this, high lifestyle in these types of systems. But they want everybody below that to exist on the same scarcity level of scarcity level socioeconomically. So you were telling me yesterday about the difficulty in getting money in to Cuba now, and how that is helping to fuel some of this, frustration and unrest.
Yeah. So what a lot of Americans don't realize is that the people that have fled Cuba, either during the revolution, when Castro opened up the borders and said, if you want to leave, get out, which is the premises of the movie Scarface.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a real thing. A lot of Cubans went to Florida, went to Gulf Coast areas, and they have been sending money back through the mail to their families that stayed, right? So you have old people that don't have financial wherewithal, that they're no longer able to work, and so you're basically left on your government pension, right? Which I think equates to like $40 a month in US dollars. So family of 2 would have $80 a month, right? Don't quote me on those figures. I don't know the exact numbers,
but it's subsistence living.
Yeah, there's no way to get by, right?
Right.
If you need any medical attention, medicines, forget about it. So their families would send money back through the mail through the U.S. Postal Service. That's shut down. So then, with the advancement of technology, a lot of locals were using Cash App to send money to their families. Well, now the internet's shut down, and so you literally have people and that's probably why the unrest has been happening since January, since the mail system is shut down, since COVID lockdowns have happened in Cuba, because you got people that are literally starving to death.
Right.
With no resources, no ability to get resources now.
Right. And this is part and parcel of the fact that this system of government that they actually adopted from the Soviet Union, who they've gone defunct, decades ago, but Cuba still doggedly pursues this the revolution that's been going on for almost a century now. But it doesn't work. Capitalism is not a perfect system. However, socialism and communism are totally incongruent with the human experience. And we see that in places like Cuba with what's happening. President of Cuba has ordered that, you know, protesters are to be shot. They're using live ammunition down there. So I just wanted to, get your thoughts and your views based on someone who's been to one of these socialist
Yeah.
paradise.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I would say the main reason, again, this is, you're not going to hear this a lot on the news or and in textbooks. The main reason why socialism, democratic socialism, communism, whatever oppressive style of government you want to label it, the main reason why that doesn't work is it stifles creativity and it stifles opportunity. So what's your incentive in Cuba to come up with a better product or service?
Right.
There's no,
You don't have one.
so the government can take it from you.
Right.
Like,
Right.
there's no incentive. So what do you do? Like, if you're not
Right.
going to be, if you're not going to have a financial benefit, eventually you're not going to do anything.
No, no, absolutely. If you know that your life is not going to improve in any way, shape, or form, then why bother? Yeah, this is why SpaceX and Tesla were not possible in South Africa. This is why
Correct.
Elon Musk lives here in
Correct.
America. This is why these things happen here.
That's it.
And it's important for us to realize that because I think that in the minds of a lot of the younger generation, we're losing sight of that. And
Correct.
this whole slide towards socialism that we're seeing in this country among certain groups is pretty dangerous because it has never worked.
Never.
It's never worked, and it never will.
Correct.
Right.
And the reason why Cuba is still trying it is because since the Russia, Soviet Union, Communist Party ceased to exist, China is coming in and backfilling that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not. This isn't like hyperbole. This is like, you can go on a train in Cuba and the instructions are in Chinese. Like, I mean,
Okay.
they're supplying Cuba with the dollars to replace what the Soviet Union was doing.
Right, right. And we see that that money is not flowing to the people at all. But when I said socialism doesn't work, it never has. I will put a caveat. As you said, it does work very well if you are, the Castros or, in the leadership position. Leonid Brezhnev over in the Soviet Union, he did well financially in that
Correct.
communist.
Yeah. Putin's not starving. You know what I mean?
Right.
Putin's not starving.
Look at the guy in North Korea, Kim Jong Un. He's like the only overweight person in the whole country.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Well, Scott, as always, man, I appreciate your insight. I just wanted to get that from you. And as things break out, we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah. Pray for the Cuban people tonight when you're sitting around your dinner table. Pray for them because they need help bad. And quite honestly, Ty, it's only God can fix that situation.
No, I agree. I agree with you.